Hey, how's it going? I just started a podcast there just as the dog started scratching its face. Good girl. How are you? You're all very welcome. I won't keep you very much longer because, as you may or may not know, I have the Ramble Pod out on Tuesdays and people seem to be liking that, where it's a good bit of shit talk. Okay, out of the way now, dog. Good on you. The dog wants to be part of the podcast too. Anybody who follows me on any social media platform will notice that the dog has a bit of attitude. People seem to like the dog more than they like me. I could actually do a whole podcast just talking to the dog and doing a dog. Do you know what? I might do that actually, do the dog's voice just talking back to me. Take a bit of trickery. But you're all very welcome. Thank you very much for tuning in. If it's your first time, do hit subscribe. Why not? We're on iTunes, all the usual places. Give us an old rating and maybe leave a nice comment. I like the ratings, like I've talked about in the past. Only leave 5 stars if you're going to leave a rating. If you're not going to leave 5 stars, then don't bother. It's grand. Save your time. It's all good. Follow me on all the usual platforms. Tom O'Mahony Comedy, will find it everywhere. Or just go straight to tomomahony.com for all gig dates and all the rest of it. Of course, I'm on Patreon as well, which is, I'll put the link in the description here. Patreon, if you don't know what it is. And actually we had I've got to do a shout out to a couple of people. I will do it on the Tuesday one, who have donated a few quid towards the podcast. And the podcast, it's not to me really, it's towards the podcast, because I'm going to upgrade the gear and all the rest of it eventually. Hopefully by the end of the summer we should get it there and we'll get some good gear in, because the guests now are starting to, there's a couple of nice guests, juicy guests lined up, and you want to be showing off good stuff too, lads. In fairness, what I have isn't bad, but you want to be showing off a bit snazzier, you know what I mean? But yeah, patreon.com, patreon.com/Tom O'Mahony Buckshot will get you straight to my page. And essentially I'm going to be putting up a couple of more videos, because the last 3 or 4 podcasts I have now, I've filmed them, so I'm going to be putting up nuggets there purely for patrons only. And you could donate as little as $2 a month, and it keeps the old lights on and going towards basically biscuits for comedians and buying some new gear. So have a look at it, check it out. If you haven't heard of it, have a little read up on it. If you haven't, don't worry about it. Don't stress too much about it. Just enjoy the podcast and keep on sharing them. If you would, share them. That's the number one thing really, is tell other people about it who are getting into podcasts. Fling it out on whatever platform they're on. Typically on any of the Android ones. It's on iTunes for the iPhone people, and all the other Android ones like Castbox, Spreaker. It turns up on all of them. So, I think it turns up on Spreaker. Anyway, not going to get into it. Moving swiftly along, straight into today's guest is the fantastic Carl Donnelly. He's a huge comedian, in fairness. He's done it all. He's been, you'll see some of his videos online, hilarious stuff. And we talk about his poster in it. I'm going to put up his poster as the actual image of this to anybody who's listening or whatever. But just go have a look at last year's poster from his show, Natter on a Bus. You'll see what we were talking about, how it's just unnerving. There's something unnerving about his post. But he's a hell of a nice fella. He's gigging all weekend at the Laughter Lounge tonight and tomorrow night. And obviously he talked in this about his Edinburgh show coming up as well. He's prolific. He's done it all. He's won a bunch of competitions. He's been nominated for the top ones as well. You're going to enjoy this one. He's a fucking hell of a nice fella. So please enjoy the fantastic Carl Donnelly. There you go. I need it that simple. Yeah. Because otherwise, and you see, that's nice and wide too, because it'll pick up both. There's a good 8 foot on that by the time it gets to us.
Isn't it? I filmed I just filmed my show in Edinburgh last year, just for my own personal, just to have it, and because I was doing a tiny venue, and sort of, I was doing a thing called the blunderbuss.
Oh, what's his name? Isn't it? Bob Slayer.
It's the top deck of a bus that it turned into a little theatre, and I was playing it side on like a round.
I think I did that in Galway last year. I was very drunk.
It's so much fun to play. Yeah. But the width of it obviously is the width of a bus.
Yeah.
So filming it would have been hard, but on one of them, we stuck it up just to the top of the bus, and you'd think it was 10 foot away the way it filmed. It's really wide.
We were just talking before we came on about. I must pop up in nearly every fucking episode. It's Gordo, because it's just. But when he was explaining, he says, "Look, get that for the time being."
Yeah.
Next thing he shows me this other one, and he modified it on a selfie stick as he's walking, but he linked it to this way better microphone and stuff. And I thought I was fine with my thing, and next thing, it's just it's interesting. It's amazing to see the blokes. But he was an unbelievable comedian too.
Amazing.
Right. It was a crying shame he stopped.
Well, why did he stop? Just wasn't...
I think he went back to college, and he's an all-or-nothing bloke.
Right, okay.
And he was like, oh, I can't. He had a comedy club here in town and everything, and it was fucking brilliant. You could not do wrong with it, because he was musical as well as...
Yeah.
But he'd write a new amazing song every week. Like,
right.
And real fucking, like... And it was...
I like it when... Well, not like it's sad, but I think I respect it when a good comedian just...
Oh, it's like anything. It's like sports blokes when they just go, nah, that's
like
class.
Borg, sort of.
Yeah. I'm walking away now.
Have you seen the film Borg McEnroe?
No.
It's not great, but it's still interesting. The story's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, it sort of shows them. So it was always Borg was the nice guy, McEnroe was the sort of bad guy.
It's almost like that film Rush.
It's exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost exactly the same film. Just
right.
They've changed the who
sports.
it's about.
Yeah.
But it is that thing of. It shows you that they were both quite tricky customers. Borg wasn't just this super nice. He was troubled.
Yeah.
Like behind the scenes, with his sort of coaching team, he could be very difficult. And, so I think it tries to just balance it out and show McEnroe actually had, he was trouble on
the court.
But actually behind closed doors, he was just, he was ruthlessly ambitious.
He's a funny fucker, though. In fairness, like he's I mean, he's tongue in cheek and all that. But anybody, you'd have to assume, like, and I've had a few lads on. Like pro fighters and pro rugby players and stuff like that. Yeah. Just because, and it's nothing to do with, like, I enjoy both those sports, but it's just and a couple of weeks ago, the woman, Megan Williams, she plays for the Ireland ladies.
Yeah.
And you're like, what fucking makes you take, like, because you just, to be that savage, like, do you know, to be able to be that much better. Sometimes it's natural, but it has to take some level of psychoticness.
Definitely, I think there's got to be a single-minded...
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be the best. And also, like, because I think there's very rarely you meet a comedian who's got that. When you do, normally they're not that good at comedy.
Yeah. No, totally.
The comedians you meet with, like, when they're new and they're just so like, I'm going to be the best comedian in the world, tend to be far from that.
Yeah.
Whereas the comedians that are just doing it just for
the
I
crack,
just want to do comedy. I want to.
Yeah.
I just want to see if I can do this. I enjoy doing it, and just. Yeah, you've got to be driven, but I don't think you can have that sort of laser target.
And you do see it the odd time, but it's normally like comedy isn't their goal.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like it's just to succeed. You know what I mean? It's
I see.
Because if you're getting into this shit for the money, like,
oh my god,
you just
it's the worst. I mean, it can end up being a decent.
It can. I mean, there's no ceiling really on it, like
No, but definitely the first 5 years or so are pretty tricky, aren't they?
You have to get inventive with food and stuff like that.
I've got a sneeze coming, but
go for it, man. This is podcast time.
Sorry.
To be fair, that was a well-controlled sneeze. I sneeze like a fucking cow. I knock over tables and everything. I just lose myself for a good 10 seconds like that.
I mean, I held most of that stayed in, so that probably means I've got another one coming soon.
Yeah,
I should have let it out.
But your poster kept from last year. Was it Nutter on the Bus?
Last year was Nutter on the Bus, yeah.
That poster fucked with my head.
It was good, wasn't it?
It was so good. Yeah. And for a lot of...
The problem is, I think I peaked with that. This year's poster, I've gone a bit serious. Not serious, but I'm not doing as silly as that because...
I love the silliness of it.
It was... that had built up over about 3 years.
So had it?
I did a show in 2014, I think it was, called Jive Ass Honky. And the poster was a really serious black and white photo of me in a turtleneck jumper, looking dead down the lens. So you'd see it from a distance and think, what an arsehole! Like, what sort of comedian would do that as his poster? And then you get near it and you see the title was Jive Ass Honky. So it's sort of like a piss
yeah.
So and then the year after, I was trying to work out what to do with the poster, and we copied that, and then we redid the photos and everything. I don't know why we didn't just use the same photos, but. And it was called Badman Tings, but then we shrunk my head down. So we shrunk my head down to about 70% of its actual size. so it just sort of it just made people uncomfortable.
That's what it did.
And then last year's was the sort of, I think when we peaked, so from that little trajectory from the silly...
Your shoulders are so wide.
Yeah, last year was me topless, and my head shrunk down to about... it's probably about 60% original size. But you wouldn't... It was... Most people couldn't work out if it was it was a shrunk head, or it's made. Yeah, but some people
I think I'm going to use that photograph actually for this podcast, and just to put it up and just this is what we're talking about, because to describe it isn't enough, because you just at first you're thinking, oh, it's like that moment from Beetlejuice, where he sprinkles the dust on his head. But there's something. See, I look too deeply into shit too, probably as a comedian. I'm going. How, because
but the thing is, it's silly and it was funny.
It was very
the amount of thought that went into the size of the head. We were going back and forth. Me and my mate. My mate's a graphic designer.
Okay,
brilliant. So he's done all my posters for the last probably for the last 5 years, and we really think about it, every little detail. So he'd send it to me, and I'd just be like, it's still too big. We need to take another 2% off, and he'd keep shrinking, or we'd go back up, and it's too far. And it took us days just to get the head size right. And that was before all the colour scheme and everything else.
But I mean, you could see why people would go to, because your comedy would be like mine, is that it's comedy. Because there's sometimes, and there's a hint kind of coming into it a small bit now, it's like, it sounds almost like a public service. It's like, relax.
Yeah, I think even when, I've done shows that actually are quite, some of the things I talk about are quite personal and serious, but I always make sure to do it in as silly a way as possible. Even I did shows about depression and divorce and stuff like that, but they were never that sort of one where for the last 10 minutes of the show I'm in a spotlight crying, and the whole crowd are in tears. It's always done with, I think there's something, I find it really good if I'm going, the times I've done them shows when I've actually been in quite a bad mental place.
Yeah.
But I find it really helpful to me for them to be silly. I find that it gets me over it by laughing about it. I mean, that's the way I got through it, and I think the audience hopefully would.
Because I remember I got caught rotten a couple of years ago. And you're during the day at Edinburgh.
Yeah.
You're pissing about, and then you get invited in to see a show, and you go, oh no, and you make all your excuses. I was just backed into a corner with this young chap, and he was like, and it was in Finnegan's Wake.
Yes.
And he said, it's just me. We're doing a two-hander. We're splitting it with this girl over here.
Yeah.
They both seemed so nice. And I went, okay, well, I'm out of all my own flyers anyway, so I can't. I've done all the flyering I can really. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And I went in, and he said, would you sit up the front? And it's only a little 40-seater, and the other 17 people sat at the back.
Yeah.
And I sat at the front. Ugh. Oh my God, it was not comedy.
What was it?
It was basically how half an hour of struggling with bulimia.
Oh God.
And with no hint of irony or humour or anything. It was just, oh fuck. And then you don't know where to laugh, because you're like, that is kind of, oh right, that isn't funny.
Yeah.
And then she came out, and she was brilliant for the first 3 minutes. I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
But then she just pulled up the handbrake and just turned the corner into how her husband had been murdered.
Oh my God.
And if the remaining 27 minutes was that.
Oh
Jesus.
Yeah, there needs to be a warning.
Yeah, there was
trigger warning, as they say.
Well, it aged me at least 3 years sitting there.
This is the thing. I think that's part of the problem is, Edinburgh is brilliant for allowing comics to do what they want to do. But the problem I think happens is when good comics have the ability to do shows about something that's very very serious, and you can have moments of pathos and serious, of
course,
Hannah Gadsby's show last year that won the awards, or shared the award, and that was that was a show that had moments of really hard going, serious, sort of hard hitting social commentary. But then she's good enough that she managed to still she made the first half really funny, so to give herself the license to do that. And that's because she's got the skill to do it. But then the problem is a lot of newer acts see that, them shows winning the awards and go, I need to do that serious thing. Yeah. But they've not realised they've not worked yet. They've not done the years of learning how to do the funny bit. You've got to really have a good bed of funny to be able to then chuck something serious and not let it derail the gig.
I know, because I think the only advice I was given was if it's funny, if you find it really fun. And that's probably, I think people probably got pissed off with me at the beginning because the stuff was all right. It was okay. It was in no way groundbreaking, and I had no interest in making it groundbreaking because I couldn't possibly know enough about this business. But it was just the silliness of it, and I used to crack myself up.
Yeah.
Because I go, I know this is, because I felt like I was kind of in a gang more so, and it was because I was like, this is fucking ridiculous what we're doing here.
But then I laugh a lot on stage.
Yeah, that's what I like about your stuff, is that you kind of tongue in cheek, you kind of go.
Last night at the Laughter Lounge, I got into a real fit of giggles at one point, just because a guy went to the toilet, but he just took a route across the corner of the stage. Like he was sitting about 3 rows back, so he was on the edge of the aisle.
Yeah.
So you think he'd go down the aisle, round the back to the toilets. The confidence of him. He was like a sort of early 20s.
Right.
Really confident. His name was Noel. And he just walked up and just crossed that corner of the stage. And I just stopped and watched it. And then I made a reference to it. And then everyone started laughing because I wasn't taking the mick. I never ever go for
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
But like I sort of got into this thing of commentating on his decision making to do that in a room where there was 250 people watching. And then he went into the toilets, and I kept talking about him. And then I couldn't remember if there was speakers in the toilets and he could hear it. So I was trying to work. I think there is. So I was like, he's listening to all of this now, and I realised that about a minute later. And I just went on this little sort of, I don't know, it was like a flight of fancy about him then trying to get out of the toilet without coming back into the gig, and it ended up with sort of me talking about him pulling a toilet off and going like Shawshank Redemption out. But I just went on this little thing, and everyone was really going for it. And then I started laughing just at the sort of, because I was seeing in my head him doing this,
him
climbing through
the silliness of it,
really. And so I was losing it. Right? So it's that thing where I think sometimes if you see, I think if you watch a comic and they're laughing at their own stuff, if you can tell that it's something they've said a million times and they're doing it just for effect, I hate that.
Oh,
I think.
It makes my skin crawl.
Oh god, that's the fake laugh. But I think the audience can tell when you're serious and you actually are laughing because this is I think it's the first time you've heard it.
Yeah,
so surely you're allowed to laugh if it's the first time you're hearing it as well. It's almost like one of them rare occasions when you and the audience are both in the same.
Yeah, it's a gang. You're all in the one.
Yeah, we're all laughing at something that has just been said for the first time.
There was a bloke I remember. I did a gig one time in a disused nightclub, and it wasn't a continuous. This is relatively a monthly thing that was going on. It was in the north, and it was. There were very well behaved people that showed up on bang on fucking time, and it even though it was late starting. But I was in the corner of the dance floor, and there was like a gallery, and it was seated out nicely, and it was going. We were having a good time, but there's moments just like that just overtake all your material. This bloke. He was drunk, but he was very, very polite. You could see he was swaying on this little stool, and he went to sneakishly get up and either go to the toilet or go to the bar. Yeah. But he went to kind of stay low, and his foot got caught underneath the stool, and he fell. And I swear to God, his foot just flicked the stool at least 7 or 8 foot in the air, and it came straight down on his nuts. There was nothing that could be done in that moment. The guy let a shriek out like a child, and then crawled off. And one of his mates helped him. And it was, for at least 2.5 minutes, there was just tears. We were all in tears. And even when I went to start back, I just look at that space and everybody would laugh again. It was, so there's nothing...
Well, it's that thing, this moment, I love it, a moment. It's also, it's funny when an audience member has done something that is genuinely funny. It's not like, you're not taking the mick. It's not, I think a lot of times, sometimes when, I don't really like that comedians really digging someone out in the audience, and then because then everyone's laughing at that person because of something you've done. I like it when the actual an audience member has done something or said something funny. Sometimes,
absolutely,
it's really or just made a funny noise, or that's why I really like that when somebody just lets out a laugh that it almost sounds like they didn't know was going to come out.
Or when a snort comes through the back.
I love it. That's why. And last night, that's what happened during that bit. I snorted, so I was laughing with them.
You snorted?
I did this snort, and then the moment when I pointed out that I'd just done the snort, it was like a funny moment of them really, they could tell that it was a real thing. You can't fake a snort, can you?
There was a guy I remember, he probably the greatest heckle I ever got. It was, used to do this bit about seeing my own walk for the first time, as opposed to, because we all think we've a cool walk, and hearing your own voice is dreadful, but seeing your own walk on a TV show I did, and I walked into the shot and I was like, the acting aside, whatever, it was Jesus Christ, I walk like I'm wearing wellies. I'm such a farmer. And I talked about that. I said, I said, has anybody seen their own walk? And then I'd only been doing it a while, and nobody had ever seen. You could see people going, no, I've never watched myself walking before. And because I head into a bit about, because you look like a fucking zombie from The Walking Dead, essentially. But this one chap, when I asked the question, this one chap who was sitting in the front row just quietly went, no. And I looked down, he was in a wheelchair.
Oh.
And he said it with, I'm totally with you here, Tom. And he said it with a smile.
Even the way he said it, no.
And nobody heard him. And I had to stop. I went, sorry. And it was kind of a weird locally gig here, but it was here in Dublin. It was in one of the suburbs. And I went, sorry, what's your name? And it was Billy was his name. It was Billy just as calmly. And I actually did it out again. Yeah. And it turned into almost like a black audience. The place just started banging tables. There was a mic drop moment. Like, it was a moment where you just go, that's it.
Yeah.
There's no more can be done to this gig. Because that is one of the most beautifully timed. He just said it with such confidence. Never seen it, Tom. Never seen it. These fuckers have never worked. That's
funny, isn't it?
And are you back in the Laughter Lounge a fair bit? Because I've seen you up on the posters.
I probably used to do it once a year.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've been out in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Just partly my own fault. I think last time I was meant to come out, I had it in the diary and then I ended up going to Australia or something, so I had to cancel it. So yeah, I've been out last 2 years ago I came out, and it was about 2 years before that as well. So it's not that regularly.
But I
might try and come back sooner this time.
Well, the name Donnelly, there must be...
Well, I've got family,
yeah.
But there's hardly any of them left now. Like, where my mum's from, in Boyle, in Roscommon, there's only one uncle left there. So,
right.
But I was going to go see him this weekend, but I've got to get back I was meant to fly back Monday, and I was going to go to Boyle for a day on Sunday.
You totally should have been in Mumbai, so...
I know. Well, I had a weird moment. I can't remember. I was telling them about this the other day. Oh yeah, because weirdly, because obviously Chris O'Dowd's from Boyle. Bridget Christie, her family's from Boyle, and my family's from Boyle. And I didn't know any of that. I knew Chris O'Dowd was, but me and Chris O'Dowd have never met. Or we don't know each other. We've got a lot of mutual friends. But we bumped into each other in a pub in Soho. I was walking into a pub in Soho, and he bumped into me as he was coming. I literally opened the door and bumped into him.
Yeah.
I looked up, and
because he's a unit, he's a big man. You won't miss him.
And we had this weird moment of I went, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" And he went, "Oh, how are you?" And we had a little exchange, like we knew each other.
Yeah.
And I went into the pub, sat down, got myself a drink, and then went, "Hang on, I've never met him before. I don't know why we had that exchange."
Isn't that weird?
I've got this weird theory that because I spent every summer in Boyle growing up, and we were only 2 years apart. There's probably something where we probably met when we were 10. Or something, or bloody played football or something. Yeah, and there's just that weird little part of your muscle memory that
it must be.
Because it was a weird moment of to not.
I mean, you're in the same business, and
I think
social media wise,
maybe, or he might sort of. I know we've got. Yeah, there's some friends who would have.
But then again, he hasn't done stand up in a good long while.
No,
so,
but I know. I think he's a fan of comedy and stuff. But it's either the fact that we've got mutual friends, and it was just that weird thing of assuming we must know each other.
Yeah.
Or it was some weird childhood flashback or something. We must have run into each other. Boyle was so small, and I spent so much time there when I was young.
It's amazing though the amount of, or maybe it is the fact that it's Mumbai, but the amount of people that I've met they say it. They've gone, oh yeah, well my cousins are from Boyle.
Yeah. It's such a small place.
Did everybody run away from Boyle or something?
Isn't it the UFO capital of Ireland?
I heard that, yeah.
Andrew Maxwell told me that. That's one of his billion facts he'll just throw at you in one conversation. Right, mate. Some QI. Some of the conversation.
You're not being judged here. It's fine. I was watching the bit because you said about Australia, and I saw the bit. Was that the Melbourne Festival you did about the blueberries?
Oh yeah. That's
it was funny because I used to do a bit about now realising I'm turning weird.
Yeah.
And because we must be close to the same. Are you 35 or 36?
I'd say 6.
Yeah, same. Yeah. But there is a turning point, isn't there?
Yeah, but I think there is sort of.
There's nothing sadder than not knowing.
Yeah.
I
also think there's that moment where you become just that age where you feel weird around young people. That's what I really like. I used to do student gigs and things, and I just can't. Now, if I do them, I feel if they're 18, if you do a freshers gig, then they're literally half your age. And you just feel what am I doing? I shouldn't be allowed on campus.
Yeah, but in your head, though, because it's very easy to go, this is cool. Yeah, I can totally fit in. Oh, no. Because it happened, and it was in Edinburgh. It happened to me, because I was doing the Free Fringe. I was doing the Pear Tree.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, about 3 years ago when the realisation, because a guy pretty much said it to me. Lovely audience were in, and a lot of them were of the student age.
Yeah.
And they'd said, I was having a drink downstairs, and one of them said, do you want to head over to the student bar?
Yeah.
And I went, I won't, I'll probably... Yeah. The girl that was with him went, no, but I mean, it'd be weird. Yeah. She actually said it outward.
Yeah. Of course, and it would.
It would be weird.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, at that stage, I suppose they were 18, I was probably 33. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is, yeah.
I think, there's an age. I think even just in your 30s, you should let the young people, except you're not one of them anymore.
Yeah.
You're not old. That's not saying that 30's old or, but just, I think you should start, mixing with your a category. It's fine older,
Yeah.
I don't think, I find it really bad. Like, I find it really creepy when there's single comedians in their 30s who you see, like...
Because we can all name a few of them if we want.
You see them, like, just after a gig, just trying to chat up like a 19-year-old or something. Like, you dirty bastard. Like, it's just gross. I've got a good friend, a very good friend, like, who is that sort of like, he's a year older than me, so he's 37, and he just, it's not, but he still has that thing of like, I'll get a call from him after a night at a gig in some city, and he's like, oh God, woke up next to a 23-year-old. I'm like, oh God. And there's not a single part of me that's jealous. That's the good thing about getting into your mid-30s is you lose that sort of late 20s, even up to my late 20s, and I was married, and I'd hear about people like doing, oh God, woke up next to somebody, I'd be like, oh, but that was fun. I think, that would have been a nightmare.
Yeah, I was a bloke we were chatting about the other night, or earlier, we were chatting the other night at a thing, and he was regaling me with these stories, and I'm like,
it's exhausting.
Yeah,
that's the worst thing about being single, I think, is just how late you go to bed.
Yeah.
You're always just waiting, like, you always got to stay out late to hope for something to happen at the end of the night. That's genuinely, I think, my favourite thing about relationships is you can just go to bed early.
Totally, and there's no answering for it. Like, but that's what's even been single. Who the fuck are you answering to anyway? Like,
but you can't help it. There's that instinct.
Oh
you need something.
Stay out and hunt.
Like, if you're out drinking, you have to wait till the very end of the night, to the very last moment where you lose any hope that something might happen. Then you finally go to bed. But if it's 3 a.m. and there's even the hint that there's a connection with anyone,
there's a party or somebody wants to...
You always got to stay up. I remember I found it so exhausting being single.
Because even another chap, because we must have talked about it, but even he would be still on that radar of the hunt constantly, and he'd be older than us, like. Yeah, it's so tiring. Oh, Jesus Christ, like. But even I've had conversations, but yourself, even after conversations with gigs, and there's like, a couple of 21, like that gig in Galway the other night, when the show was ending, it was a silent disco was coming in afterwards, and they were all students. Yeah. And they were good natured, but they were all a bit pissed, and and I've stopped going, God, was I like that? Yeah. Because I'm sure I was.
Yeah, totally.
So the shock isn't there anymore. But when you see them and they're coming in, they're like, hey, do you know what's that? You're like, oh, wow, fuck. We have zero. We're almost not the same species anymore.
Totally. I do reckon as well, like, the difference between, say, like, so you're 36.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have had the internet at all
until
I got the internet when I was 18.
Yeah, in college was the first of the internet. Yeah.
So I remember having a go on it when I was 16, 17 at college.
Yeah.
And I remember getting a Sega Dreamcast when I was 18. I think I got it just for my 18th birthday, and that was a games console you could plug into the phone line.
Oh yes,
yeah. So that was the first time I'd ever had the internet at home, and it was so slow and rubbish. But so that was like I was an adult before I could ever use the internet, or I remember getting my first mobile phone for my 18th birthday. And I think the distance between us and 18-year-olds now is so big compared to I was bigger than when we were 18 to 36
Oh, totally, yeah.
I feel so different. Like when I meet 18-year-olds. Like, just even the language.
The priorities are so... Not who has major priorities, but the priorities are so different, like.
But I just feel... Yeah, it feels... I know I'm not even in a patronising way. I know some people say, like, young
people
are idiots, and, like, it's all Instagram selfies and all that. I don't think... I think it's harder for them now.
Oh, man, they got shit to worry about. Like.
Oh, the amount of pressure and the amount of, like... it's quite a bleak outlook for the future.
Well, your every move has been... Yeah.
Property, everything like that. Like, I mean, it was hard when we were probably 18, but now it's just they're fucked, basically. You know, there's no,
but they don't know they're fucked either, because they don't know the good times. Like.
But I do think there's probably a background hint. Like, you know, they must have a little sense. That's why there is this obsession with bloody selfies, and it's a distraction, isn't it?
Oh, it has to be.
It's like the fall of Rome. That's why everyone's taking photos of their lunch, because they know everything's crumbling. You've got to find a nice distraction. That's what happened in Rome, when the Roman Empire was crumbling. The whole of Rome became obsessed with sex and food.
Right, was that just to pass off
just a way of distracting yourself from the impending crumbling of your civilization.
Hence why during the recession, McDonald's fucking actually had record years. Yeah. They did. They record because people were treating themselves. Because that's what McDonald's is. It's an instant treat, isn't it?
That's why everyone loves, smashed avocado brunches, because it's a nice distraction from the fact that you're never going to have a pension.
I didn't really realise that I was... because you don't hang around with youngsters, but I was during the panto. I did, because you're working with these incredible dancers who could smoke 40 fags a day and still dance for 8 hours. You're like, that'll end. That shit'll end. Yeah, but I remember they'd been out. They had all the dancers and a couple of the younger actors had all been out the night before or whatever, and I was being told about the night, and it was like, what did you saw the story, right? And I went, what? Oh, you didn't?
Oh, talking about
their Instagram story.
Yeah.
And I didn't realise that you're obliged to do it. If we're friends, I'm obliged to know what Carl was up to. Yeah. And I should have looked at it all prior to us meeting up.
Yeah.
I said, would it not be just better? You tell me though.
I've had that where, like, I very rarely go on Facebook. I've got a Facebook, but I rarely go on it.
Shite.
I've got, what I've got is... I've got a messenger app on my phone. I don't have the Facebook app, and I've got the Pages app, which means I can have my fan page.
Right. Yeah.
So if I get messages on my fan page, I get them on there. So basically, it means I don't have to go on Facebook to still be able to use it as a messaging service. That's what I use it for.
It's pointless, really. Like.
And I've had it quite a few times, and normally it is with people. There's some people of my age and above who use it all the time, but like a few comic friends who are just that generation below me. They're probably just like late 20s. 30s, who have grown up with Facebook being a real part of their life.
Yeah.
Who, I've seen, and they're like, so you come into my birthday drinks. And I'm like, when is it? And they're like, it's Saturday. Did you not get the
invite?
The invite. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they said, I invited you on Facebook. It's like, well, I don't even know what that means. I don't understand where that would show up.
Yeah,
I haven't got any notifications or any of that on, so I wouldn't have got an email. I don't know where to look if I logged in. I'm so it's one of them things I've never decided to learn or to try and do. I always want to keep a bit of a distance from it. Like with Instagram, I've got an Instagram and I put silly photos and videos.
Isn't that what it's supposed to be for?
But I don't know how to do it. I've never done a story. I don't know what that strikes me as a bit too full on.
The photos. I think the story thing is in the top. There's loads of stuff I don't understand. The story thing is in the top left, and I think it's to tell your day.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no. It's that thing of I've just never thought. If I think of something funny or a silly photo, I would just put it on my wall thing.
Mostly it's me and the dog having full conversations. I've built the dog's persona as being an asshole. Yeah. So I'll ask the dog a question, and it's just things like "Go fuck yourself, Tom."
Yeah.
Because the dog is quite like the dog's a schnauzer, so it looks like it's got a scowl on all the time. It's got a white moustache and white eyebrows, so it looks funny. Yeah. And that's what I would want to see as a dog talking to me and calling me an asshole. Do you know?
It's a good way of using social media.
What else is it's not real. But
this is the thing. What's the other one that? What's the other? Not
Snapchat.
Snapchat.
I don't understand that at all.
Well, that is the young. That's what, from what I gather, a lot of young people now, like sort of mid-teens, and the kids who are really sort of the next generation. They all use Snapchat. Like a lot of them have sort of moved away from Facebook and that because it's too. I think this is the thing. There's actually now almost a rebellion in that Facebook's too personal. You put too much of yourself on it.
Yes,
Snapchat is very much you do something with your friends and then it's gone. You know what I mean? It's very in the moment, but it doesn't hold your information. It's not like people then go and look at all your photos. I think this next generation have learned the dangers of putting it all out there. So I think a lot of them are now migrating onto the ones that are a bit more instantaneous. I suppose Instagram stories where it comes and goes.
I know people that are making money now as a result of their Snapchat following.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember signing up to it downloading the app because a few from like comedians went, "I should use Snapchat," like, and I just couldn't even work it out. I felt so old.
I cannot work it out.
Yeah,
and I know it has funny faces from time to time, and that only happens by accident when I turn it on, and all of a sudden I'm a unicorn, which is funny. Like for me, it's funny. I don't know who's appreciating it. I don't think anyone. But I know lads like. Again, those youngsters taught me a lot. In fairness, they were like, "No, you should be putting up about your day and talking to us." Nobody cares.
Yeah,
but apparently people do. People out on their fag break, they want to see 30 seconds of Carl saying, I'm off to such and such tonight.
No, but then I suppose that's the thing.
But does it? But
to monetize it, or to make it a thing, you have to get over your self-conscious nature. Of going, why would anyone listen to that? And I don't want to get over that self-conscious.
No, because then it makes you too loose. I think because it keeps you sharp, being a small bit embarrassed. Like,
well, yeah, I just also think I don't want to get to that point of doing 20.
That's the Irish person in you too. Like. That's the Irish in you too. Probably. But the two chaps I know, and they make money now from it.
Yeah. Well, that's because I met a guy recently who is a sort of I don't know what it's one of the new sort of
influencer. Jobs.
He's not an influencer. No, he's in PR. He comes from a marketing background.
Okay, so
he's now moved into sort of social media, small scale marketing. It's all such like modern terms. Like that his job is a job that didn't exist 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And he was saying the thing with like Instagram, and this is pretty bleak, but it basically rewards users the more you use it. So if you're doing one post every 4 days, it doesn't show that it doesn't keep your posts high up when your people that follow you open their Instagram app.
Right.
It might just lose it down below. Whereas if you're doing 3 a day, it's not just a numbers thing, it's the actual Instagram, what are they called? The
algorithm. Right.
Will reward you by putting you as like the first one that when one of your followers opens their Instagram app, it'll put you as number one. Just because it rewards you for using it more.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So that's and he said, like, once you get told that, obviously people that have got a lot of followers will be told that by their marketing people and say, do it, just do, every 2 hours, just do one, just so it'll keep you in that number one thing with your followers.
Oh my god! Do you want to hear something really bleak?
What?
Did you watch Black Mirror at all?
Yes. I've not finished season 4, but
so you didn't see the one about social media? It was set in this pastel-coloured America. It was an American one, and a very well-known actress was playing the lead in this one. She's a red-haired woman, but basically, your whole life depends on you liking things.
That was in the first season.
Oh, was it?
Or second season, I think.
I watched them back, jumping them up.
Yeah, that was a great one. Where people can delete you and stuff like that, can't they?
No, that you can delete. Yes, that was another social media one where you can delete people out of your optic nerve.
Right. Oh yeah.
This one is.
Oh, it was just your likes. It was all about likes. Yeah, I did see that. It was brilliant.
But not, and then if you're not above a certain amount of likes.
Yeah.
You're all right. It's one of the lads popping in there. They make cameos the whole time, so it's grand. But basically, if you in the way this in the Black Mirror one, what it was, you might actually be allowed through a door.
Yeah.
If you weren't up a certain amount of likes, so you might get. It is actually happening now in China.
Right.
They're trialing it.
What?
On 2 million people in a province in China.
Where? How? What do you mean? What are they going to do?
China has its own version of Twitter. It's called Blue or something like that. Another thing and. They're basing, I think, on that.
Yeah.
And if you say you have an outburst and you go, fuck this guy, and stuff, you won't get on planes. You'll be, I swear to God, security check is passing through. And all sorts of, this will explain, I haven't looked into it properly because I'm actually quite terrified, but it was, a mate of mine was over at the weekend who'd be quite, he's not on any form of social media, but he's a teacher. So he loves being it. He's, I'd imagine he's very good at it, but his whole thing is about the dangers of his students. Look, lads, this shit isn't real.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Even like when the people that started, there's people that were at the ground zero.
Yeah.
Facebook and Instagram and all that who don't have them. They're the if the people that invented it don't use it. You know that there's a problem there, and it's obviously if they're aware of the dangers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we do. I definitely think. If I wasn't a comedian, I wouldn't be on any of it. I would totally just delete it all. But I think I've found a way of using it just for, putting. I use Twitter sometimes to throw a silly short idea of a joke out.
Yeah.
that I think might.
That's a good soundboard. Twitter's a good soundboard for stuff.
I use Twitter for that. Very, very, very rarely will I ever post anything, even sort of drifting towards an opinion. You know what I mean? I can't be bothered. There's no point. You know, it's such an.
Who are you shouting to?
Exactly. It's such a pointless thing to have an argument on. You know, on social media with some person who's you don't even know who they are or where they are.
Yeah.
What are you doing? It's such a waste of time. So yeah, I think I've managed to find a way of I'll use that for jokes.
Yeah.
I've got a Facebook fan page I can put links if I'm doing a show.
Yeah.
And Instagram I use for basically silly photos and videos of me doing dumb things. But at no point do I ever try and engage with it as an actual real thing.
And that's the dangerous people do, like.
Yeah, there's that thing of people just posting like. This is why I deleted all the Facebook app and that, because it is addictive. It's meant to be. It's all about the dopamine hit, isn't it?
Yeah.
So like,
I gotta like.
It's that thing of just if I was just sitting on a bus or sitting on a train or sitting at home, suddenly you're trying to watch something. You want to watch a documentary. But you're just constantly looking at your phone. You're forgetting about that, and I'd be checking in and just you'd open Facebook and everyone would be putting. Everything just felt like a little cry for attention, isn't it? It's all having a tough day today.
I heard it was a very interesting. Like it was actually refreshing to hear. I was down in Cork last weekend, and we were filming this thing. But this woman that was on the cruise, she was just talking about how her 20-year-old. He's in arts.
Yeah.
Him and none of his friends have mobiles.
Oh really? That's good.
They have not. They came out of school and they were all going into art.
Yeah.
And they had formed an opinion amongst themselves. Basically, this is fucking pointless.
That's great.
And I says, how do you? Because he's heading to Australia for a couple of months.
Yeah.
I says, how do you get? He'll just have to find a landline or borrow one, or I'll just have to. Just old school.
Yeah.
Because she could understand it. She was like, I'll ring him on a Tuesday at 4.
Yeah.
Be by the phone.
It's great. Well, that's what my hope is, that if this generation of young people now are getting away from Facebook, and even I know Snapchat's still a social media thing, but
it's a bit more innocent.
They're using it for a personal. I think you have your little closed group like of friends.
Yeah.
It's all like send something, then it disappears. Let's not keep any of this online.
Yeah.
If they're moving that, hopefully the next generation moves even further away. And I'm sure in a few generations, I'd love it if everyone just took it back to basics and, you can have a mobile phone, but you don't sit staring at it all day. And it'd be nice if, in 50 years, they look back at this period of time and go like, we really got carried away.
Yeah. Well, I think it's probably going to become quite uncool. I think that was the vibe I got from her. Was that
it's a hipster thing?
Yeah,
that's what you want. You want the hipsters to suddenly go, I've got an old Nokia 3310, because that's what they released. A new version of the 3310 that's got no Wi-Fi or any of that stuff. It's just a phone. It came out like 6 months ago, and back orders were huge. So there's obviously what you've got to do is make it cool to not have.
Just need Kanye.
iPhone.
That's what we need. Just need Kanye to.
Yeah, that's it. So I think that's the next wave is.
Because it was a French guy. He was a sound tech that was on. He had this tiny little phone, and it was like Alcatel or something. And he was like, I must make a call. And I was wow, I haven't seen one of them in a while. And that's where the conversation goes. I get like 10 days of power from this thing.
Yeah.
And this guy, you could tell by him, all he was into was.
Battery life. That's all he cares about.
But battery life was really all that concerned him,
Yeah, it's good. I've got a couple of friends who have no, sort of, they've just got an old phone. You can call or text them and that's it.
Well, I thought I was going to be into horrors because we just moved. And we moved about 10 miles outside of, not even outside of, just over the Dublin border, out of the city bounds. And it just happens to be countryside, a little pocket of the countryside in Wicklow. And it's just gorgeous. Phone doesn't work.
Really?
You get so you can take phone calls. And at the first week I was going, jeez, I can't be checking shit here.
Yeah.
And then I thought, how fucking important am I?
Yeah.
I'm not that important.
But then it's amazing how quick you stop caring.
Yeah.
That's what I've done. I always, after the Edinburgh Fringe every year, me and my wife, we always go on holiday straight after the Fringe.
Yeah,
right?
It's healthy.
But we normally try and go somewhere really quiet, far removed from we don't go to. It's not a city break, We'll go 1 year, like a couple of years ago, we went to Jamaica and stayed in a hut on the south of the island. There was nothing around. It was a tiny little town. There was probably 500 people that lived in the whole area. And, sort of there was a shop about 10-minute walk away, and that was it. We just had a little hut staying just next to a beach.
Unbelievable.
and there was no phone reception, no internet, nothing. And yeah, like you say, coming from Edinburgh where it's so full on.
Oh my God.
And then going to the absolute end of the world and having no connection with back to real life. It took me about 12 hours, maybe 24 hours of
decompression.
What's going on.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, I didn't even want to look at my phone for 5 days. And it was just such an easy transition back. It shows you can.
Oh, you can, yeah.
And last year as well, we stayed in a real, like an eco lodge. It sounds so wanky, but in Portugal, just down in the south, sort of west of Portugal. And again, it was sort of, you went down to like the busy area, then you just drove inland for about 40 minutes, and we were just in the middle of a forest. And you could only get phone reception if you walked to the top of the hill. So on the second day, I had to walk to the top of the hill because I had to
make a call.
I had to call someone. But like apart from that, it was just, and it was quite fun. Doing that was quite fun because the rest of the time I wasn't looking at my phone or caring.
Well, you earned it too. You earned it.
We were all there was a few other people staying there who were really nice, and we were all having a drink and having some food, and then. It was just as the sun was going down. I had to go off on this journey. It was like a 20-minute walk to the top of this hill through loads of forest.
Which is hilarious when you think about it in that modern day. Yeah.
And I got to the top and broke through these trees, and there was this little mast that's there with like tinfoil on it that managed to pick up a signal, and I had to stand next to it to get like 1 bar. And it felt like, all right, this was worth it, you know. Now I can make my call and go back to not
brilliant.
having it.
Because do you know what's a good spot actually if you are going back to Boyle? In the right next door in Leitrim.
Yeah.
We went for we got married last year.
Yeah.
And for our anniversary, we went a glorious weekend in April, but it was Leitrim, and it's the fucking no reception either because it's in this weird cutout valley, and this they have a hobbit house.
Right.
And a bunch of these yurts.
Okay.
And your own kind of... Because I think they lived in Australia for a while, so they took kind of the Australian outdoorsy vibe, and they've built a kitchen that everybody can use, and then they have a barbecue set.
Lovely.
And the fact that none of our phones worked.
Yeah.
And it was myself and the missus, we brought the dog as well, because we were like, oh yeah, bring the dog. And like, they make their own cider.
Yeah.
And you could tell, talking to them, they're a young enough couple, they're like in their 40s, but they both look ridiculously in shape. Because everything is done. Everything is done with a pick and shovel.
Yeah.
They've done it all themselves by hand. And you're going, oh yeah. And you can see the genuine happiness in their faces.
The people that own this Portuguese eco lodge thing she was Portuguese and he was South African.
Right.
And so she'd moved to South Africa when she was younger and met this guy. He was like a big... What was his job? It was big finance. You know, it was really busy. 12-hour days. And they had 2 kids, and then they were just hating their life. And then she just said, "Why don't we move back to where she was from in Portugal, and not far from where she grew up?" And they just bought this chunk of land and just built loads of these little African huts, basically.
That's class.
And it was like you're saying, there was a communal kitchen. It was like a little African hut kitchen that was just round, and you'd go in and it was just, and they were so happy. Like this family was so just like lived just in their little chunk of land without sitting on their phones. And the kids were so nice, and just the kids were like, you know, I think one was 16, the girl was 16 or 17, the boy was about 14. And they were just really friendly and nice and engaged. You know what I mean? They didn't have any screens around them. They didn't know anything like that. They were just living in this little pocket of calm, and it was so nice to see.
And what was Australia? When you were there, do you go every year to the Melbourne Festival?
Not Melbourne. I mix it up. So this year I did Melbourne. Last year I did. Oh, did I do Melbourne last year? No, last year I didn't go. It was the first time I didn't go out. Actually, I know I went out. Sorry, last year I went out and did a thing with the roadshow where I toured around.
Right.
This year I did Melbourne. The year before that I did Melbourne. The year before that I did Adelaide. And before that, I sort of alternated.
Right, because I was talking with Mickey Bartlett. Do you know Mickey?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, because he was saying he toured, and I was, how was it? He says it was brilliant, but because we were in a conversation of mental gigs, like one or two.
Some of the weirdest. I did it. Like I did this in the roadshow. We went to like loads of mining towns and stuff.
What's that like?
It's amazing. The people are so nice. Like people are so up for it because. You're the only entertainment they've had for 6 months, and they've all gone crazy. Like if you go to parts like Alice Springs, you know that's the most landlocked you could be. You know what I mean? Everyone's mad because they're so far from civilization.
I'd imagine,
They're in the middle of the country, and it's just like so. There's a sort of madness in the air, but like they were so fun because the gig is like this is all that's happening for months. Let's all enjoy it. And yeah, some of them, like, we did one on a rum distillery up in, like, there's a place called, oh shit, I can't remember what it was called. But yeah, it was an outdoor gig in a rum distillery, like a field, and they'd built sort of, put all the seats in. And the moment that they'd put the stage lights on, every insect from about 200 miles came to the stage. And it was almost unplayable. Like it was the most. I'd say it's the most traumatic gig I've ever done. And I'm not that bad with wildlife because you were talking and just. It's not even an exaggeration. There was about 10,000 bugs around flying into you. You were surrounded by just a cloud of bugs.
Like
it was horrendous. Like so, you couldn't even open your mouth properly because they'd fly in. So you had to just do the gig, just like constantly getting hit by bugs. There was one guy. I was wearing quite dark clothes. It wasn't that visible. There was another guy called Josh L was on. He plays guitar and he had a white T-shirt. And like you could just see it on stage. As his set started, it was white, and within a minute, it was a black T-shirt because it was just covered in bugs. When he came off, they were just all over him.
Oh my Christ!
Oh, it was so horrendous.
Beck Hill was actually telling me that because we're talking about accents that doesn't change much because I suppose in the UK there's a bunch of accents, and in Ireland there's a bunch of accents, you know. But as it doesn't change, I think we had a long drive. I think we were driving Dublin, Kilkenny, and back again, and. She was not really. She's cause I don't know why it doesn't because it's just But she's in around Alice Springs and stuff like that. All right, where it's mental with flies because she's looked into this herself. Their accent has changed as a result of having to keep the mouth closed.
Yeah, that's.
Are you joking me? Because I swear to God, because flies fly into your mouth all the fucking time over in there, like.
Yeah, it's funny.
So they're the only ones who have a slightly closed mouth. Yeah. So they sound like they're kind of always a bit angry, like.
That's funny. But it's amazing. It's also, I think, a lot of people go to Australia and they go to Melbourne, Sydney, Perth. That's about it.
Yeah.
I think it's good to get around the country to see. You actually get to sort of see
the places, the Mad Max looking places.
People, and so, people that you don't see in the cities because they've been really pushed and priced out, haven't they?
Well, that's why you should go to Boyle. You're going to see people, Indigenous people. You'd see the real deal. And I've tried to explain it to people, like, and it's like, I did a gig one time where there was two blokes had guns in the front row.
Where?
It's down. I think it was either East Cork or West Waterford, and it wasn't weird.
Yeah,
they weren't gangsters. They'd been out shooting all afternoon.
Oh my God.
And they brought the two shotguns in.
Yeah,
and the question was like, lads, what? You couldn't have checked them in with your jackets, and they were like, no, just brought them in because they'd arrived full hunt and they had a bunch of rabbits and stuff with them. And you're like,
God.
So I just had to deal with it and go, oh, okay. So I took one of the guns and it wasn't loaded. It was just a shotgun. So I'm just standing there with a shotgun because I had to, I don't know, lasso the situation some way.
Yeah.
But I was the weirdo for questioning them for having guns. Yeah.
It's mad, isn't it?
Have you ran into any mental ones like that? Obviously, guns, I suppose, don't have to.
Massively. I don't think, like, somebody in, I can't remember where, it might have been Darwin in Australia, brought a crocodile to the gig. Just a little crocodile. They had a pet baby crocodile.
Had they under their arm on a leash?
Yeah, just brought it and they showed. They go after the show. We got to hold it and stuff, and it was just a tiny. It was literally, it was probably 8 inches, maybe 9 inches long, and they'd tape the mouth just so it couldn't bite us. And then you just got to. They brought it because they thought we'd like it. I mean, it was fun. There's photos of us holding it, and like it was. I mean, it was that thing though. I didn't like the fact that I don't like taping animals.
Yeah.
I don't like wild animals being kept as pets in general.
I know.
If it's, I don't have pets anyway, but just because of a hassle. But I think at least if you have a pet, make it one that's been domesticated for thousands of years, and they know they're used to it.
Yeah.
Having a crocodile, that's always going to, at some point, that's going to become an issue, isn't
it? What a polite way. Look, I don't know what way to put it to you, but that thing's going to eat your child. It's going to.
Yeah, it's such a, it's a.
There's no positive outcome to that thing growing up.
It's cute for a month.
It's cute for 8 inches. And then after that, it becomes dangerous.
Have you ever seen crocodiles and alligators up close?
No, not inside 40 feet.
They are so. They are dinosaurs. They're like you've never seen.
They're terrifying.
Obviously, that lizard thing of I'm a bloody vegan. I like animals, but I like I like letting them be and all that.
Yeah.
And I tend to sort of, feel quite sort of connected and calm around animals. But when we went to a crocodile park in Darwin. It's mad. The story behind it's a mad. Like this guy in the 70s just started a crocodile park. It used to be they were endangered for a period because people were just like culling them because they were, because how dangerous they are, and they thought it'd be easier to kill them all. So it got to a point when they were like sort of really struggling, dying out, and then the government started legislating and saying that you can't just kill. These are indigenous wild animals.
One of the few indigenous things anyway, because like rabbits and everything else they introduced.
Yeah. So they sort of became slightly protected, but this guy he was an animal. I think he was on TV. He was like a sort of Ray Mearsy type, just wild. Outback.
He wasn't the Bush Tucker man, was he? Do you remember him
It
years
could have
ago?
been him.
I love that guy.
I don't know if it
used to be on BBC on Sunday mornings.
How long ago was it?
1984.
I think it would have been earlier. I think like in the 60s, 70s, he would have been like a, sort of a big advocate of nature and that on TV in Australia. And he set up this wildlife park mainly for crocodiles to just try and start up a sort of sanctuary. But he did this one thing where he'd take trouble ones from all around the country. If they were going to be killed in a local area because they were causing problems, he'd take them in. So they'd
gangster crocodiles.
Yeah, and they'd have their own pen because they were problems. And so some of these, we got to sort of see them. There was just like chicken wire between us and
Jesus.
A 25-foot ridiculous creature that was so scary and just sat there. There was one I remember. Just the other side of the wire was its head, and you look in its eye, and it doesn't flinch. It's just there, and you think, I don't think it has any idea what's going on. It's probably asleep with its eyes open and that. But then then they'll tell you to stand back and they'll throw a little bit of meat in, and the speed, the thing is, been watching everything. It knows it's waiting.
That's
and
all
if
they're
that
waiting
fence
for.
wasn't there, you'd be dead. But there was this one little part of it, a little lake, where they're normally solo animals. Like they don't hang out in sort of packs.
Oh, don't they?
No. But this guy bred and hatched 70 in one lake to see what would happen, see if they could become like a sort of pack animal.
Right.
And they're not, but they all live very happily. I
suppose because there's grub being thrown at them all the time.
Yeah, and they don't know anything better, really. That's where they've grown up. So there's this bloody lake with 70 crocodiles in of differing sizes. So and loads of them have got little bits of them missing when they've had a little scrape with each other. And,
yeah.
And they just don't react. I saw a video of one biting another one's arm off. And so it grabs it and then spins and rips the arm off. Yeah. And the one who's had his arm ripped off just doesn't even react. Just sort of just carries on like, oh, well, that's the end of that then. And that's how scary is an animal that...
They're, the more I look into it, because I'm not a vegetarian, but I have a huge respect for... I won't eat anything. I actually prefer to hunt.
Right.
If I am going to eat meat. Because at least then
it's... Well, connected to...
you really have to work for it.
Yeah.
It isn't a case of just going out into the backyard. You've got to put in serious time for it.
Yeah. But that's the thing. I'm a vegan. I'm against sort of that. And like eating animals and stuff, but I do think if people had to hunt their own food,
but that's why
I think there'd be people would eat way less.
I only eat meat 2 days a week, 3 days a week. Really.
So the numbers would just fall off, and also I think it just would make people way more understanding and connected to what they're eating. Most people have no connection when they see.
I love describing it to people because I'm like, really you have a problem with it, but you're not a. Because the only people that I would have a willful, I suppose, debate with is a vegan. Because I'll go, no, motherfucker.
Yeah.
You'll show up in McDonald's and just, you happy that it just showed up there?
Well, this would be a lot of I think there's so many meat eaters who just don't connect what there is in their burger
99%
with
don't.
An animal walking around.
Yeah.
So that's why I've got way more issue with that blind meat eating.
Yeah,
just it being what they assume is normal. I've got more issue with that than people that go out and catch their own food. People who will, go out and catch a fish and eat it. It's not something I do, but I can see that the circle of life in that more than not having no idea how that bit of meat got on your plate.
It's bizarre. Even we were talking about it the other night at that launch, and a chap I was talking about vegetarianism, or whatever, and I suppose it'd be closer to vegan, I suppose, is what we probably eat 4 days in a week, really, because we grow a lot of our own shit now as well, so it's just trying to be clean, you know what I mean? And it's eating stuff that probably grows local too, in season, that kind of way. But he was the chap I was chatting with, who I had a great time with. But he said it. He goes, "I'm one of those." He goes, "I cannot bear the notion of how it got to my plate."
Yeah.
I went, "Well, do you not think that's disrespectful to the animal? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you want to just pretend like it showed up on your plate magic."
So did he eat meat then?
We'd been talking about him possibly going vegetarian as a result of
I've not been able to deal with
the moment it goes from trotting around to ending up on his plate.
Yeah, but that's a decision that a lot of people...
You should do it. I said you should do
it.
There's loads of
that's what happened to me. I think when it gets to the point when you can't switch that off, most people just don't even think about it. Some people are aware of it and they just deal with a little guilt.
Yeah.
I got to the point where I couldn't... every time I tried to eat meat, or I would just get out of habit, I could see. I just suddenly was like, "Oh, I know what this is. I know where it's come from," and I couldn't deal with it, so I had to cut it out. And I think, for me, it was a much easier decision to stop eating it than to just keep sort of justifying it to myself.
But we were watching the other evening out there, where we moved to. It's just it's like the 100-acre wood. It's ridiculous. Like deer come trotting down there. There's rabbits. Like the dog is losing her mind. She's loving it. But there's 2 hawks live just on the back field, and I could hear that sound from a hawk. It's like something. It's that American eagle calling sound. It's like, Jesus, that's eerie.
Yeah.
And it was I watched them for 15 minutes. These two and how they were working over and back across the field.
Yeah.
And one of our beloved rabbits gone.
Oh shit.
Gone.
Yeah.
But it was the way they'd scared the rabbit. Like you could see the rabbit moving because we were looking down on it, and how one was working with the other.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the rabbit's blind spot was picked by... And one fella was hovering like this, and you could see the rabbit pausing, and the other guy just came out of nowhere between 2 trees like this. It was incredible to watch in action. It was like, Jesus. But it was, I remember talking... What reminded me of those chaps was, we were, again, on our honeymoon, we went to this... it was on our honeymoon. We stayed in Ireland first.
Yeah.
And we went out to the west, because again... No phones, and it was just quite relaxing not to have to jump on an airplane. We'd been doing a lot of flying that year, and we went to this guy. He had a hawkery,
right?
And it was everything from owls to hawks. And I said, "Do they mind the caps being on their heads? You know, as they just sit there?" He goes, "You have no idea how little of a fuck they give."
Yeah.
He says they wake food, they close their eyes.
Yeah.
He says they do not have the effect. He says, "I love those birds.
Yeah.
They would eat me if they needed it."
Yeah.
These are apex predators, Tom. He's the murderers. They wake up, they're out to murder.
Have you ever been on safari?
No.
I went to one in South Africa, and it was like an eco safari. It was like a proper...
They were out and about properly.
Yeah, and it was very well maintained and done on a sort of, it was like an ethical lodge and all that stuff. So
cool, right, yeah.
It wasn't one of them dodgy ones where it's like, right,
big fat
fly
Americans,
a bunch of Americans in and just show them. No, these are wild lions, and they drive off, and the lions are put back in a cage. Or elephant, this was one of the ones where you were told, look, you might not see anything. Do you know what I mean?
But I like the idea
the range of land that we're going to deal with is so big that we could drive for 4 hours and not see anything.
Right. It's Wales, essentially, you're driving across.
Yeah. So it's that thing of, because some of them, it's a bit of a coincidence. You saw all the big 5, whatever it is, in the first hour. It's like, oh, what are the chances? It's because there's a bloody handler, shepherding the elephants out towards the road. So, but we went to it, and we saw lions on, day 1. And what was amazing was, again, it was almost like we were saying about when comedians, you can tell a comedian's really in the moment. And seeing the ranger who was driving us, how excited he got when we saw these lions. Yeah. You could see, we stopped, he was like, oh my God, guys, he goes, I guess we've got some lions. And we drove sort of quite near, he was watching them for a few minutes just to check what was going on. They were quite far away. And he goes, they've eaten. He goes, we can drive up quite close because
how do you know?
Well, because he could tell that they were the way they were all lying down and still. And he said,
right.
It looked like they were. It was something like they looked like they were full or something.
Right.
We drove a bit nearer. He looked and he goes, they're fat. He goes, you can see they've obviously had a big kill and feed yesterday or last night or something, and they are not going anywhere today. They're just going to sleep for 24 hours.
Class life.
And then just get up and go for a hunt again. So we drove. We ended up getting so near. I reckon we were 50 foot away from them.
What? From lions?
Yeah, and they're all.
And there's no fencing or anything.
No fencing or nothing. They're just lying down, and he passed around some binoculars. He looked at them, and their bellies were just massive. Obviously eating like a bloody couple of impalas or something. And there was that thing, if they could not have given less of a shit, I was saying to them, would they never just run up here and sort of try and attack anyone? Or have you ever had to just drive off? And he goes, look, we won't get this near if they're not full. You know what I mean? If they're walking around on the hunt, we're not going to drive up to them. He said, but when they've eaten, you could drive up to, probably nearer than this, and they will not give you the time of day. They're so happy right now. He goes, he said you could have, an impala or something could walk past them, 50 metres away, and they're not even going to look at it because they're fine. They know they can wake up tomorrow and go on the hunt again. And there is that calm predator thing of like, fuck them. When you see them, they're
so badass, like, aren't they?
They are. They're so massive as well. But they look really cute. Like when you see them lying down, they look like they just look like a big cat. That's what they are. But
because you think cat, and you say, they're big cats and all the rest of it. Oh, class, there's a dog after walking in.
He's not a cat, you
How are you, lads?
Good timing.
Great timing. But I remember I was once upon a time when I worked as a civil engineer, I'd had to assess an insurance claim for Photo Wildlife Park down in Cork, which is a really nice place. It's on I don't know how many 100 acres it's on, but there's almost no fencing. Like all the animals look like they're enjoying themselves. They're chilling, and some things are out and about. Like I remember I smoked at the time, and a ringtail lemur stole a cigarette out of my mouth, and it was one of the greatest moments of my life because a ringtail lemur stole a fag. But I was down by the bison houses where these oh my good Christ, these things that look like basically they look like a Volkswagen with legs. That's where the tree had fallen through, and the next thing, this guy was walking, no chain, no leash. He was walking a cheetah.
Bloody hell!
I'm like, what? He goes, no, we've had him since birth because his mother had been shot by poachers. So he's quite calm. He says, just come straight at him. Because I was going, is he? Because we're talking 3 foot away. This guy was walking with a cheetah. He goes, no, he's all fed and stuff. He goes, to be honest with you, he would not be near anything had he not been fed. And I said, even still, though he's grown here for like 10 years, and he knows, he goes, man, I wouldn't go near this guy. He says, it's out of respect for the animal. He says, do you see all those fuckers hugging their lions and stuff? Nah. He says, in 2 seconds, even though he's only a skinny version of the big cats, one swipe of his paw and my throat's gone. That's it.
It's mad, isn't it?
And he can hit a clip of 60 miles an hour. Do you know? So there's no getting away from this guy. But even still, he said, even though he's fully fed, he said, I'll stand him back a bit, and you just walk straight to him with your hand out calmly. And he just licked the back of my hand. And I was like, oh, that's
enough.
He's that, I didn't need to know. There's no tough guy, not a tough guy. There's nothing a human could do. The hardest human going.
We had that with the elephants. Like, the elephants, obviously, they look like lovely creatures, but they are so big.
Oh my God.
We were driving it was the last day we were there. We drove around for ages, didn't see anything, everything. And then we spotted 2 elephants, like just out of the herd. We just saw 2 elephants up this massive hill, like the top of this hill, and they were just eating, like ripping. They were eating the trees. And even the ranger was like, "What are they doing up there? That's mild." He goes, "Normally they don't walk up to the top of that hill. That's really steep." He goes, I can take. We'll drive around the back, the long way around the back up the hill, and we drove up sort of quite near them, and we got relatively near, probably about maybe 100 foot away, while they were just eating. And one of them was quite a juvenile. It's like sort of young male. And it just turned and it just started charging at the car, and the ranger was like, "Yeah, let's get out of it." Just drove on. It was like when you see and that was only a small one, but when you say small, it was still probably,
God knows how many tons,
12 foot tall. It wasn't like the biggest one, but the sound of it running towards the car, and it only had just got up and running before the ranger went, "Oh, we'll leave these 2 today. That's not." Obviously he's in a bit of a mood, and we drove off. But like the sound of that thing just.
I suppose you quickly realise
that
you haven't. Oh, we're so fragile.
We're in a car. And that thing is.
It could run through a house.
It's basically a teenage elephant, and it would just ruin us.
Oh my God! But there's that's the thing. Like, you kind of realise how shite we are. You know what I mean? We're shite. Like we need guns and we need stuff.
Totally.
These things could just devour us. I remember, I don't know where I heard it, but there's this wolf in this. I don't know where is it in America. This one breed of wolf. Or might be Africa. This will tell you how the next level of assassin these fuckers are, right? So they love deer. They love running down deer in packs, and they have like wolves. We know wolves are class, because they just have it worked out to a T. But there's something in there when they take a shit, basically when they take a dump, that there's spores of some sort of in it.
Yeah.
That once it disintegrates and goes down into the earth, the spores that they stay alive, and they will. The next vegetation that grows as a result of that fertilizer will hold those spores.
Right.
In the hope that it will be eaten by that specific deer. It will stay in that deer's genes.
Yeah.
And it will pass on to its first young, which will give them underdeveloped cardio muscles.
Right.
So their lungs and their heart will be smaller than usual, so they can be run down easier.
Bloody hell.
So 4 generations of separation. So 2 away from the wolf and 2 away. Like, that is nature's way of going. Yeah.
It's mad. I saw a video yesterday online actually of I follow this guy on Twitter who's he's a vegan bodybuilder and he's massive. You know, he's like he's a deadlifter. And
he's very well known, isn't he?
He's one of the sort of top ones, and he's quite funny. He's always winding up because he gets a lot of there's a lot of that anti-vegan stuff.
Of course,
people assume that vegans can't be. You're missing something if you're vegan. You're missing out on protein, and it's just not true.
It almost becomes the kind of slap in the face kind of. It's a bit hack actually to go after, because it's hacky. Same way it's hacky to go after hipsters now. What are you talking about? Like, what are you fucking talking about?
Exactly. So that thing, there's that old misconception that if you're vegetarian or vegan, that you're weak, which is just it's not at all. They're talking about protein. You can get protein in loads of different ways.
Yeah.
And this guy's a vegan bodybuilder, and he wasn't a bodybuilder. He went vegan. Then got into bodybuilding, so it's not like he became a bodybuilder, then went vegan and has maintained it. He's actually built himself as a vegan, and he's just massive. And so he likes to sort of wind people up online who claim that meat eating is the best way of being strong. And he just put this video. He goes, anytime you think we're like top of the, or we're the strongest animal, and it was 3 bodybuilders. Like on a tug of war rope, and there was a crowd around, and they were all 3 of them massive, beefcakes trying to pull this rope. And then the camera panned, and I think it was a cheetah.
Oh
and
my god!
There was just one cheetah, just on its own, just holding the rope, and they just could not move it. It was just one. This animal was, technically smaller than each one of those.
Oh yeah, wait, but their muscle setup is
and you could see the cheetah just dug its hands in and was just pulling back. It's
forget about it,
hell, man.
Yeah. That's the thing, their muscle setup isn't like ours at all. No. Even like monkeys would, you know what I mean? The chimpanzees, you're not even going to be...
rip you apart.
They'd shred you.
They're scary. I find chimpanzees scary.
Especially because...
they look nice.
They can be mean.
Yeah.
When it's a cheetah or when it's a... You know they're doing it out of necessity, because they're going, I have one gear, and that is just murder.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against you, man. I just want to eat you.
That's I saw a most harrowing thing. And it was like one of them Planet Earth things. It was one of the early seasons, and it was just about how now and again chimpanzee communities, just basically all decide that one of them is just useless and an idiot, and they don't need him anymore, and they all just decide, should we just kill that one because it's just holding us back. And it showed the moment that they all sort of turned on the God, who they were going to get rid of.
Because we all have that friend in our group, but we're never going to do it.
Rip them limb from limb. So they all suddenly started turning and getting aggressive, and it was at the moment that chimp realised, oh, I'm fucked, and it just starts running through the forest, and about 20 of them just start hunting him through the forest, catch him and kill him, and they're just right, he's done, he's out. It's like a prison, it's like prison rules.
Jesus,
and I remember watching it and being like, oh my god, imagine, because you can't help but...
make the association with us, because they're... God. In a lot of ways, you can see it, and it's...
I was so scared as well. It really left a scar on me watching it.
Because that's the thing about the old crocodiles, you go, look at the dead eye on that fucker.
Yeah.
And he holds no grudge against you.
No.
You're just dinner.
Yeah.
But the thing about the chimpanzees, they can make a conscious
That's it. There feels like there's a thought. That felt like a group decision to go, this guy's a prick.
Terry's got to go.
Yeah.
You're cut, Terry. I'm sorry.
Or something.
Yeah.
So, you're going to get stabbed in the back of the neck in a car.
Brilliant stuff. Do you know what? I won't keep you much. How's your day? Oh, you're on tonight, because this podcast will go out. You're out in the Laughter Lounge tonight.
Tonight and tomorrow, yeah.
Great stuff. And Edinburgh this year?
I am doing Edinburgh, yeah. I'm doing the free festival for the first time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I had a little break from doing... Last year I did a little show on the bus.
Oh, Bob's one, yeah.
So that was ticketed. So it's still like normally a normal ticketed show, but it was. I felt it was a nice. I basically was thinking of having a year off, but decided to just do a weird little interesting venue.
Bob has a lovely set with Heroes of the Fringe style stuff.
So it's a bit more DIY and a bit more sort of weird and almost fringy. It feels it feels like you're actually part of the Fringe again. Because I've had years of being in like the Pleasance, and I love the Pleasance, and the roommates play was amazing. But I just fancied a year off, and then thought, actually, why not just do something a bit weird in a little room, and just do something different. And I loved it so much that I thought this year I might see what it's like to not be in the main.
Is the pressure's off a small bit?
Definitely, yeah. There definitely is less pressure. There's also less financial pressure.
Yeah.
You're not the outlay isn't as much. I'm very lucky. I've never come away from Edinburgh with a massive debt, and you hear stories about people losing 10 grand.
Oh yeah.
I've been lucky to not have that. So, but you still know the finances involved. Like when you're doing a sort of a big paid room, every ticket that doesn't get sold, you're basically paying for.
Yeah.
So there is, you'll walk out and you see some empty seats, and in your head you'll be on stage going, "Oh shit!"
And that's not what that's not what comedy's supposed to be about. Like,
yeah,
because when it becomes businessy like that, and you're counting heads, you're like, "Oh."
And you're at a Fringe meant to be doing your
having the crack
show, and
an
hour show you've worked on. So this year, I'm doing a free festival, and I'm doing a venue called the Counting House Ballroom, which is like the big.
Oh yeah.
It's a big one. It's one of the sort of main sort of free Fringe hubs and. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, actually. I'm still putting the work in as if,
of course.
I'm doing a main room. I've been working on the show for months and it's coming together. So I'm just going to see what that's like.
What's this year's show?
It's called Strictly Carl Donnelly, which is
brilliant.
It's sort of a pun on Strictly Come Dancing.
Yeah, of course.
It doesn't really work. I
can't wait to see the poster.
Weirdly, like the back of the flyer is really funny. But this year I've gone for a poster that's not as funny as last year. It's good. It's a really.
Will it creep me out like on a?
Well, no. The poster's really lovely. It's designed like a sort of film poster. It looks great, but it's not. It's not going to make anyone laugh. But I'm hoping if they pick up the flyer and turn that round, they'll laugh at the back. Because the back's really silly and quite creepy as well, actually.
Class.
So, but yeah, and it's no theme or anything. It's just an hour of.
Well, that's the thing. I always struggled anytime I was doing it like this to stick to a narrative. And normally I would, I would name the show from a funny line in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Because my brain is too scatty.
Yeah.
I can have 5 to 6 minute segments, all right, where it will work fine, like in a narrative or whatever. But then everything will link fine anyway.
Yeah, I think that's that's what I'm doing this year is. Like really I'm purposely trying to not link everything. It's going to be, it'll all fit together.
Yeah, of course.
Because the last couple of years it's been quite, like last year in particular was basically one story, one long story. And it was, on the good nights it was brilliant, but then there's some nights when you almost feel like, I can't be able to tell this story. And if you're not invested in it, then that's,
Well, and that's the thing.
And if they're not invested, that's the worst. If you're doing a story, and 10 minutes in, you can see some people have not got on board with the story.
Got 50 minutes left.
In your head, you're like, well, they're done. You've almost got to write them out of your mind because you're like, they're not going to get. And that's a horrible feeling that this year I'm hoping, right, this is just an hour of stuff. It's almost you almost want to say to them, right? If you didn't like this bit, don't worry, the next bit's different. It's just an hour of thoughts and like observations, and it would be quite nice to have a show that I don't feel stuck in. Like
absolutely, yeah.
So that's why I thought I'd just do a big free room, see who comes, and just bang out a proper hour.
Oh, you're going to have some crack, I'd say.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I'll put the link description from the Ed Fringe and all the rest of it in this and everything else.
I'm also doing a really weird late show for 5 nights, midnight on the 18th through to the 22nd
of August.
It's called Carl Donnelly Speaks to Dead People, and it's on the bus, and we're doing 5 nights of sort of drunken comedy seances.
Fuck, I might come over for that just to see it.
I don't know we haven't really planned it properly yet. We're still working on the idea, but it's just going to be us and an audience trying to contact the dead while pissed. I don't know what it's going to be. It was a silly idea me and Bob Slayer came up with via email, and we were just emailing when I was in Australia, going back and forth. He said, "Do you want to do something on the bus?" And I love the bus as a venue. I said, let's do some late shows. Let's do a few. And we put this little 5 nights in, and I jokingly said, "Why don't we do a séance?" And next thing, he sent me the link that he'd just put it he'd registered it with the Fringe. So it's just an idea that it was like literally the first idea I came up with, and he just went, right, let's do it.
That'll do.
So now we've just got I'm committed to doing a séance. So yeah, that should be interesting.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much, Carl Donnelly.
Cheers, thanks for having me.
That's been great, man.
Yeah,
Cheers.
Been fun.